My idea of the American dream is a direct result of my grandparents. Belonging to what Tom Brokaw coined the greatest generation, my grandparents set the stage of which I live my life. My maternal grandfather, William Vastine Lunn, was one of 13 children. Having watched his brothers before him, there was little hesitation in his choice to enlist in the United States Marine Corps. My grandfather participated against the Japanese at Iwo Jima. This major battle in which the USMC landed and eventually captured the island from the Japanese became an inspiration in this well-known photograph by Joe Rosenthal on February 23, 1945. This photo offered badly needed hope in a time of mounting American casualties. Meanwhile, on the other side of my family tree, a different yet similar display of service and sacrifice was taking place. My paternal grandfather, Walter J. Ziglerski, was a German prisoner of war. Upon completion of his service and release, my grandfather arrived in the United States on the SS America in 1952, with the hopes of bringing his family over and living a life in freedom. Not soon after, my grandfather dropped the SKI from our last name in an attempt and desire to succeed in American culture. Soon after, he sent for my grandmother and German-born father. According to the manifest, he sailed out of Bremerhaven, Germany, to New York in a journey that took 8 days. This same ship, before transporting my grandfather to the United States, carried the future and first woman to become Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, and her family to the U.S., escaping from Europe as refugees, and sailed in rough seas to the United States aboard the SS America. To many ship lovers, she was the most beautifully decorated liner to fly the American flag. The SS America was decorated by the first all-woman design team. Here, Dorothy Mockwad and Anne Urquhart look out at us with a confident, knowing smile. They created a ship that was uniquely American in spirit. My parents were born in the 50s and coming of age in the time of rock and roll, when the economy was booming. New cars, suburban houses, and other consumer goods were available to more people than ever. However, the 50s were also an era of great conflict with the civil rights movement and the crusade against communism. My father's time in Vietnam changed him drastically. I can remember my grandmother explaining to me as a teenager that they sent her son to Vietnam and sent someone different home in a shell of what once was her son. My grandparents helped my parents build a home, and my sister and brother and I all have vivid memories of moving to Ashtabula, Ohio, and building our home from the ground up. Growing up, my ideas of the American dream were similar to those of my grandparents. But as time marched on, my dream was drastically altered. When my parents separated, my father passed in a motorcycle accident on Father's Day at the age of 46, which is just 2 years older than I am now. This loss had a profound effect on my idea of the American dream, as I sacrificed my own needs and wants to move back to our family-built home and take on the responsibility of our family. Now, many years later, I am finally pursuing my belief that the American dream is about education and service. I am back here finishing something I started in my early 20s in order to fulfill my idea of the American dream. While this picture I have painted for you is traditional to me, I have come to realize that this is not how many people view the American dream anymore. The truth of the matter is that my picture and idea of the American dream is very different than the reality that is today. It was once that having a job and working hard led to a home and marriage and children, and most believe that if you worked hard, this American dream would be yours. Recent data today indicates that young people are letting go of the traditional markers of adulthood. Rather than planning on college, buying a home, getting married, or starting a family, these young adults are bouncing from one low-paying job to the next, taking on debt to weather the tough times, and are wary of romantic attachments. This is very different from my maternal grandparents, who are in their 90s today and will be married for 65 years this year. Only 28% of those surveyed by the Atlantic and the Aspen Institute felt that a healthy marriage was an important part of their personal sense of the American dream, and just 14% said having children was important. For the majority of America, the 2000s were a lost decade, with wages flatlining or declining, Middle-class jobs disappeared during the Great Recession, and many have never come back. Instead, many of the fastest-growing sectors are those that pay the least. Median income remains below pre-recession levels, so we are left to ask, what is the American dream?